And we're going to just quickly run through how to apply a displacement map. There are several ways that you can actually apply tread to the tire. You can model in the detail and then create a normal map from the high resolution model to the low resolution model by projecting it. But I prefer displacement maps because it's a lot quicker. So what you can do is select your tire and open the Hypershade button right here, and I have the tire material selected. So we come in here and select Lambert, and then I'm going to just name that tire 4. Alright, then I'm going to want to let's see, come down here to File. We're going to bring a file into placement here into the editor to apply as the displacement map. So let's go get in the attribute editor, let's go get our file. And this is an image. This is the actual displacement that I'll be using. It's just white for the high points, just like the height map, and dark for the low points. And we're going to create a 24-bit image with that. You can see the gradation on the side will make a nice transition on the side of the tire. So center click on that, drag it to the tire material, and when I let up off of the center button, you get a menu, and right down here we want to select displacement map. Okay, and you can see we have our displacement map here, and we're going to select our object and apply that to the tire. Right in here we can change our color, select on the Lambert shader, and you can just play with those settings if you want to. The ambient color, drop that back up here a little bit. Alright, and then once we have our shader applied, let's go ahead and render that so we can see what that looks like. Now there's a lot of tread on that tire, so we're going to go in and modify the settings to make that a little bit more appropriate for the low tread tire that we're looking for our race car. Let's get a little bit more rendered out so you can see what's happening. There we go. So the tread is showing, but there's too much tread. So we're going to go back and modify that. Select on our displacement, and here it gives you displacement attributes. Follow that by clicking on the window there, and come right down here to color balance, and we're going to adjust the alpha gain. We're just going to set that down to, let's try a 0.1 rather than a 1, and see how that affects the influence of that map on the height information. Alright, so we can see already that we have a much nicer tread on that wheel, and I'll let it render just a little bit more, but I can already see that the UVs are not quite where they should be. Very close. We want to get a nice transition from the tire to the sidewall, so we're going to come in here and select on our split panel. We're going to go get the panel for the UV texture. Okay, so we have a square here. That's our auto mapping. So we're going to select the UVs here, and I'm just going to select the ones down the center because I want to position those UVs in a way where we're going to get a little bit more of that image on the side. So With UV selected, I'm going to simply change the scale on that a little bit. And now let's render that and see where we are. Yes, you can see that those are coming around more on the sidewall there now. So again, it's working to your photo reference that's going to give you the best result. You can also come back in here and do some sidewall lettering, and then you can get some nice raised lettering. Alright, in this clip what we're going to do is take a look at how we can handle the lettering on the outside, the sidewall of the tire. We don't want to incorporate that into the map for the displacement, because then it will not only add geometry, but it's just not necessary. You want to control this this height, this effect differently than you want to control the displacement. So what we're going to do is use a height map to describe the geometry for creating the letters on the outside of the tire. The height map will not add geometry, it'll just play with the lighting and shadows and normals. And so let's go ahead and do that. We're going to use a file. Getting a lot of stuff out here. Okay. So we've got a file here. We're going to go ahead and get the height map, and what that looks like is the alright, so again I want to explain that this is a applying displacement maps is a high resolution way of getting detail, a lot of detail in a very short order. However, displacement maps are typically not used in games because they add geometry, they add polygons, and so that would blow your poly budget really quickly. So what you would do is model in your geometry and then create a normal map by projecting the detail from your high resolution geometry to your low resolution geometry. The information that's used for the tire, as well as, you can't really see it here, but if I go here, you'll be able to see the little bit of information here on the side that's in darker gray. And I'll probably likely be painting a lot of this information out because I don't want it to affect the displacement map. So back to Maya, I'm going to load in the height map, and let's just go ahead and middle click and drag that onto our let's try that again. Onto our material, there we go, and then we're going to select bump map. So there we go, bump map on that. Hopefully you can see in this the effect that is having on here. So let's go ahead and render that and see what we currently have. Okay, so we're getting a double displacement on the tire, but we can fix that a little bit. I just want to show you how the sidewall can you can get some lettering and some design work on the sidewall here. So that's pretty effective, but of course there's a lot of displacement here, so what we're going to do is let's just tone that down a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and get a hold of the bump map over here under bump depth. I'm going to take that down to maybe a 0.3. That might even be a little bit too much. So then let's go ahead and render that. And if you have lettering or design that's just kind of gelling out and you can't really get a clear definition on that, you can see that this is a lot more subtle now. It's more of what we're looking for. By default it's set to quadratic, but you can turn that off so that the smoothing feature is not on that affecting that height map so that you can get a little bit crisper image there. So, alright, let's try that and see. So what we're going to do now is apply a specular map, because tires, the materials on tires are actually pretty involved if you're going to do them realistically. There are certain areas of the tire that are a lot shinier. Sometimes the beading is a lot shinier than the actual tread or the base of the tire. Some of that shiny surface is grooved in manufacturing to help it look a little bit more high gloss. And of course, sometimes you'll get more of a matte finish on the tread that is in contact with the ground, just because of some dirt and wear. So what we're going to do to help the appearance of this tire is apply a specular map, and you'll be able to see a dramatic difference. Now, if I show you what the spec map is going to look like, it again is deriving its information from the grayscale. So the dark areas, less specularity, the light areas, more specularity. So you can see by just the difference here that you're going to be able to see a difference, a visual difference in those areas of the tire. So we're going to get another file here. We're going to go get our file called spec map, and then we're just simply going to drop that into the specular color. If your material for your object is a blend, or Lambert, you're going to need to take it to a blend so that you have specular shading available to you. Okay, we're going to middle click on the texture and drop that into the specular color. Now let's render that. That's improving the appearance of it a little bit. Let's go and rotate that just a little bit so we can pick up more of the light and see what's going on. So we have some specular highlights on this tire now, and that's really picking up the light in the high areas and darkening it just a little bit in the low areas, so you can see how that will impact the appearance of your vehicle overall. So the next step is to get a nice chrome shader on this this wheel.